Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, December 1st. I can't believe I'm saying we're in December. Holy cow. Woo! What a strange year. This is Morning Market Movers. This is live analysis for day trading where we look at hotspots in the markets for today. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. Before Brian and I jump into the hotspots for today, we do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. So, what have we got going on? It really is volatility, right? And we kind of mentioned this yesterday. The markets are going to go up, the markets are going to go down. Everyone's trying to digest what any of this means with the new Omicron variant. Of course, we had uh, Powell yesterday throw a wrench into the system where he finally took away the transitory word. We're not going to even talk about it anymore. He retired it. So, Brian, you got to be happy about that. And we're seeing this in the markets, though, with so much uncertainty. We saw Friday a massive sell-off. Monday, we rallied, took half of that back. Tuesday, yesterday, we sold off even further. Now, today, we've taken half of that back. We're battling back and forth with people playing risk on, risk off. It's kind of difficult to make a determination. Where do you want to stand with equities or in energies when there's so many unknowns with the Omicron variant, the response to it, how effective are the vaccines? How is this all going to play out on the back of central banks now looking to start raising interest rates to curtail inflation? So, Brian, I'm going to flip it over to you. I think let's just focus today. Let's look at what's going on in the equity indices because that's
Mhm.
an interesting story. Um,
Yep.
then we'll take a look at the energies because I know we've got the oil inventory report later this morning, 10:30 this morning. So let's take
Mhm.
a look at that and let people get ready to get at it.
Yeah, I mean, so far seeing the news this morning, it's all really been positive. There was a little bit of a beat on the ADP non-farm employment change. That's great to see. Building permits up in Canada, wonderful. Bailey is speaking in 12 minutes. That could throw the pound a little bit in a little bit of a tizzy. And again, I think it's going to be on the strong side. And then Powell coming in at 10 o'clock this morning with ISM right behind it. So it's kind of bam, 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 and then oil inventory at 10:30. I don't think the oil inventory is going to be as big today just because everything going on with Omicron, lockdown, not lockdown, inflation, everything else. We know that that's been a big one, but we've seen some movement in oil thus far. But overall, I would say the currency markets are more or less flat, probably waiting for these releases. Just to kind of cap off what we had from yesterday. API oil inventory came in at a slight down draw. It was expected to be 1.6 down draw, and it only came in at a 0.7. So not quite the down draw that the at least the industry had kind of portrayed. So we'll see what that comes out to be today. The VIX is on the it's whipsaw back and forth again. And we mentioned this yesterday. Whenever you have a move that is just too huge, you guys that have watched the parabolic retracement webinars, you guys know what I mean by that. But again, we were talking about it was down, up 50, down 50, down 20, up 50, up, back and forth. It's down 12 now. And as we know, red VIX means green everywhere else. And yesterday I mentioned look for that end of the day rally. A lot of that selling had happened. And again, we saw that yesterday. That was really the start, is that kind of the end of the day time frame. But right now, with the VIX down as much as it is, again, kind of leveling back again, unless Powell drops another bombshell today, which 2 bombshells in 2 days is kind of that's rare, especially for somebody like Powell. I
Yeah.
believe he's doing the extra starch on the tighty whitey still, so I don't know. It would be very rare. It would be very strange if he did it 2 days in a row. But right now, I'd say just rolling through the indices, they're all in very interesting places. Yesterday, and again, you guys can see that the bottom was literally that 47 or 45.60 that we marked off. Had you attended the longer session, not the short one, you knew about this level. That came in right at what 3:30. Yeah, 3:30. So again, talk about end of the day rally. There was your end of the day pop. There was your reset, and there's your overnight till now. Now, for the fib traders out there, they're probably not super happy. It kind of did that 50% balance at 1 o'clock this morning, drop back down, and again, it was an impulse correction move. It grabbed more buyers to punch higher. We're now flirting with the 61.8 as we go into the open. Again, the retail trader will probably be looking to go long, but I'd be a little bit more cautious with it. Again, this has been nothing but since the close of business yesterday, straight up. And as I mentioned, when we have this much movement in one direction, you tend to see a reversal. So if it's unable to do anything and we go into the PAL and the ISM manufacturing all at the same time, because remember, if PAL says, if he sticks to his guns on the questions today and talks about, I mean, obviously the testimony, they obviously don't want to crash the markets, but at the same time, they also don't want inflation at 30-year highs and things like that. And we know that there's problems out there. So Powell kind of has to say something that's a little bit inflammatory. So with it rallying back up again, is all this movement saying, hey, listen, Powell's talking tomorrow, let's jack the price higher so we can start selling it? Not saying that's going to happen, but if it does, don't be surprised. Again, it's up 1.28 is great. Now, again, if you remember, Powell was doing this good news one day, bad news the next. That was about a year ago. So he could be coming out and today can be completely positive, and it may just kind of blow through the top about how, Omicron is serious. Maybe we need to start factoring in, and maybe we will slow things down. But again, that completely contradicts what he said yesterday. So
I don't. I kind of anticipate him to say nothing that's inflammatory.
Yeah,
it was a lot yesterday. I think he'll probably just let things cool. Because he doesn't need to be driving more volatility.
Yeah, I mean, the market, at this point, the market is already pricing in what he said yesterday. So it's going to be less of a shock if he says it today than what it was yesterday. Right. Could it still turn the market and send us down? Yeah, absolutely. And again, in all reality, I hate to say this because, everyone's like, oh, going down is un-American, Everything he said was true. We do need to cap inflation. We do need to halt a lot of these things. The labor situation may be hurt, but at the same time, again, just like trust the science, trust the data. More people than were hired than were expected, so it's a better situation. Remove Omicron, which we really truly know nothing about. Everything he said yesterday was correct.
Yeah.
The reaction of the market was also absolutely correct. It's what happens when they raise interest rates, when they go to curb inflation. Okay, so this is a natural cycle. What it means for us is, hey, listen,
if you're at Nadex, right?
Yeah, you're any trader that knows, anything. It's not about buying and holding. It's about taking advantage of opportunity. There's no difference if you hit the right button that says buy or the left button that says sell. It doesn't matter, right? At Nadex, at least we're doing it in a protected way. If you're doing this in the futures market and you hit sell, you got a lot of risk out there, right? Nadex, we're protected. So if you guys are believing that he is going to continue to kind of follow the path, and again, he is not swayed easily by his opinions, right? Doesn't matter who asks some difficult questions. He stood up to the president and was like, no, we're holding our path. Right? He will probably say something inflammatory today, which again could lead all this wonderful green, and all the retail traders are like, we're green today, buy, right? There'll be some short opportunity. So again, is it going to be at the 61.8? It could potentially be, right? It's in an area where we are right now. I do like the level a little bit higher, at least in the S&P 500, the 46.61. If you look at NQ's been a little bit more protected. Now this one is kind of already back up there, right? We talked about 16,414 yesterday.
Yeah.
It's already kind of faltered a little bit, right? There's a little zone sitting right there, right? We had a drop, we had a base, we had a nice push off of it. It kind of hit it again and tested it, and then just kind of touched it a little while ago. Is this a telltale sign that this one's going? And again, a little bit of buying right here, but then it does a big fall all the way down to 16,187. So short duration contracts, look at them. With the VIX
on NQ, by the way, this is the chart that we drew on Monday. Actually, I think we updated it yesterday with the fib levels. We're right at that 50%. Not only is that a level where we know there's sellers, it also happened to be the 50% retracement from the drop. And it's still kind of hovering and hankering in there. It was interesting yesterday is that while everything in the NASDAQ was everything was down, and the NASDAQ was down, Apple stock, on the other hand, set all-time highs. It was one of the few stocks, and so there are some technology gems in there where people are saying, hey, these are companies that can weather this storm. So yeah, in the NASDAQ, definitely a different story than what you see in the S&P 500.
Well, technology is protected. I think the stocks of my father's generation were the dogs of the Dow, the industrials, right? The super safe things. My generation is technology, and is technology going to be more insulated? Yeah, I think so. I mean, think about it. Even if we're locked down, we're going to rely on technology, computers, graphics cards that we can't get, chips, iPhones. I mean, any product, any company that says, "Hey, listen, after your phone's 2 years old, we're going to send code to purposely slow it down, so you have to buy another phone for $1,100," and people are like, "I'm going to wait in line for it. I can't wait to have it." That's a pretty insulated market, guys. I mean, they're the people, the loyalists, that will do nothing but every new iPhone that comes out every year, even though there's no updates. So it's kind of one of those things. It's a protected market. Now they're getting into, and they're diversifying, going to other things. So it doesn't really matter what happens. People are going to spend money on things. I mean, kids these days don't want a football or a wiffle bat. What
They want a video game.
They want some type of video game
Or
or V-Bucks
Gizmo.
or PlayStation dollars. So it's a little bit more protected, but the same thing on a technical basis. Remove NASDAQ or NQ from the top of the corner of this. You got to look at it and say, okay, on a chart in this market, doesn't matter what the market is, where are we? We're very, very high in the curve. We know we've done this parabolic retracement. Again, we saw that. I mentioned it that we dropped all the way down. I said, look for buyers. It's going to come all the way back up again. It's all the way back up again. And we know we have a guy that can say something to crash the market. How do you play that one? Limited risk, short duration contracts starting from the 10 to 12 time period. Why 10 to 12? Because he's talking at 10 o'clock. So anything he says will be out of the market at 12. Will there be some increased volatility? Sure, but that's why we use out of the money. Worst case scenario, it goes against us, we lose a little bit. If it goes big, another one of these, even if it does only half this move. Right? Even only half this move.
And by the way, you see how NASDAQ has retraced. I also want you to take a quick peek at the Dow in comparison, where you're seeing it hasn't come back at all like the NASDAQ has.
And we mentioned that again. The Dow is going to, while NQ is in a great situation because of technology, and we have it, we can get it from everywhere, right? The Dow I mentioned yesterday is on the other side. The Dow is kind of my parent, my father, my father's generation stock. The Dow is more industrial based, and with countries like Japan saying we're closing it down, anytime they're going to mention supply chain issues, that's going to affect the Dow. Even though, yes, we will have a hard time getting iPhones, but magically, they will produce just enough for us to purchase them. And they love that scarcity there because it jacks the prices of all the phones up. The YM, the Dow is not the same, right? Yeah. When we start talking about industrial, supply chain issues hurt it the most. And again, following through, what did we talk about yesterday with Russell? We talked about how Russell was going to get completely hammered and smashed because it was the worst. Well, guess what? When it's the reversal day, the Russell is now up 2.5% today. And what did it do? It literally banked right off of that. Right at noon yesterday, actually, is when we saw it. We talked about it yesterday. It hit. It's done nothing but rally up since that time. So again, understanding the pulse and the heartbeat of these three indices are extremely important in your trading. Understand that if it's going to be a kind of a COVID risk, it's NQ. If it's supply chain issues, it's YM. If it's reversals and the changing of the kind of economic status, it's going to be Russell, right?
The small cap.
The ES is up there, and again, remember the the ES is the most traded futures contract, right? And the S&P 500 is the main one that everybody looks at. It's what everybody uses as their kind of comparison to is, did we outperform the S&P 500? Right? So the ES is a little bit of all of them out there, but all of them provide great opportunity when and again. Don't forget, at 10 o'clock today, he's going to speak. It's unscripted. It's testimony. People are going to ask him questions to try to say, yep, I got 2 up on him, right? Because elections are next year. So there will be some questions that don't have the best answers. And again, not that I'm telling you to watch
Turn on. We'll definitely be watching that as you're watching your charts. Hey, quickly before we wrap up today, because we do have the oil inventory then at 10:30. Let's just take a quick peek at what's going on in oil. Before we wrap it today,
because that's since yesterday morning. Yeah, I mean, yesterday we talked about oil, kind of what it was going to do, and it did. It retraced back a bit, and it continued to retrace all the way up. The API data again was a little bit of a down draw, and you can see since the U.S. traders come in, this kind of pushing down at that 7 o'clock time frame a lot of times signifies that, hey, listen, we're going to go long today. This is going to be a big number. And it's pulling back to get a cheaper price for it. You can see there's a couple areas here where buyers have stepped in, as well as one like a little bit lower. So let me take this off. We don't need that right now. But the area in particular I'm talking about is probably down in this area. So we got some room to run. As I said, today is not going to be the typical oil trade just because, again, everybody's going to be focused on Powell at 10 o'clock, and at 10:30, he's still going to be talking. Oil is important, but remember, at the end of the day, it's going to be tomorrow with OPEC. There was one quote over here. What is it? The Angola oil minister says OPEC Plus must remain prudent and proactive. Well, the price of oil has dropped almost $20 in 2 weeks. Yeah, they're going to be proactive. They're going to go like this and go, And they're gonna,
they're
yeah,
not
they're
going to
just
be
gonna go to
pumping
sleep.
out any more oil. It's because
Nope.
you've got OPEC. It's OPEC plus. You got Russia in
Yep.
there as well.
Yep.
There's
And Russia's making
more
everybody
than
angry right
just
now. So any more that they can flex, they will. And remember,
yeah.
I actually, to be honest with you, I actually wouldn't be surprised if they make a comment about holding the supply increases, because right now the reason why they put these on there was to stabilize the oil market. $20 a movement in 2 weeks is not a stabilized oil market, and by them halting the additional production, that would hold it right back up at that $70 mark that they love. So
Right.
wouldn't be surprised if they said
right.
that either. And man, Biden will be
70's
mad.
great, 80's greater, but you're right. They all
Biden
right.
will be
So
angry.
we've got a lot to look at there.
Yeah, the only other thing, and again, let's get out of here because it's 9 o'clock. And when I'm going to get everybody open for the market today. As here's gold yesterday. Gold is kind of decoupled itself from silver. Silver's struggling. Silver's at 0.01 and it's fluctuating back and forth. Gold is up almost 1%, 0.85. Again, parabolic move down. I talked about this, taking a bounce off the level. We called the bottom yesterday. It did come up and it did bounce, although instead of doing it here, it did it over here. And I missed it by one candle from where I drew it yesterday. I would say look for gold to continue pushing up to 1,800. They will mention inflation today about how important it is. And again, depending on what his stance on it, 1,800 could be a nice little target today. But I wouldn't hold it much beyond that because we do have some sellers kind of blocking the top side
that
of
1,800 level.
Yeah.
It's a psychological level too.
It is. Yeah, it's a big one, so. But that's it. I would say, again, biggest thing today, look to see what the retail traders do at 9:30. Look for a reversal potentially at 10 o'clock to 10:30 this morning. And again, make sure you guys are using the shorter duration contracts from 10 to 12 today to get a majority of the bulk. And then if you do want to do one after lunch, go ahead and use the 2 to 4 because then we have the initial response from Powell and then there's the reversal from Powell in the afternoon. So 2 different trading opportunities today, both with short duration contracts.
Yeah, mostly expect to see that volatility. Expect to see that volatility. By the way, I also dropped into the chat the link to register for the. Oh wait, I wanted to. I wanted to. I kept on showing the. That's the one I wanted to show. I was giving you the daily calendar. The boot camp on Tuesday. We've got that boot camp on Tuesday. There's going to be some great speakers. Brian's speaking. I'll be speaking. We've got Mark Pietrino from Benzinga, and we've also got Tom Sosnoff from Tasty Trade. So register. If you can't join, you will be able to access the recordings if you're registered. So I highly recommend people register. Hopefully you could join us next Tuesday. With that, any questions for Nadex, please email us customerservice@nadex.com. Any questions for Brian? He is also accessible. support@keeptradingsimple.com. And what do we talk about today? It's just more volatility. This is definitely a lot of volatility going on in the markets with the uncertainty around Omicron, and then with the central banks acknowledging that we've got inflation and they're going to have to start getting into the game sooner rather than later, speed up those purchases of assets and start looking at raising interest rates. So it is a bit all over the place. Short duration binary options are a great way to participate in these markets with defined risk. So if something were to go haywire, you're not going to get completely burned. With that, Brian and I will catch you again tomorrow morning. Good luck in the markets, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.